Push the push the. All right, are you pushing the pod, Sam?
Oh man, yeah, we are live. Good thing I didn't say anything sus. Yeah. Retweet, boom, like, send in the chat.
You sent it in the chat?
I just did.
Did you really? Oh
Yeah.
my god, you did. Dude, this is a little late night spot here. I almost just sent it in the chat again. Should I resend it in the chat? Just like really?
No.
They would hate that. Then they wouldn't click. You think Vic will give us the golden retweet?
Probably not.
Odds are no.
Odds are no. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's kick this bad boy off. Are you ready?
Now I am.
3, 2, 1. Philly!
Hello, everybody. Hello, Philadelphia. Welcome back once again to yet another edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. As always, my name is Ryan Conway, and joining me here is my illustrious co-host and handsome son of a gun, Sam Glavin. And, of course, we have our incomparable producer behind the glass, Seamus G, pulling the strings up in the private chat. It's going down in the DMs with the stats, the fact checks, and, of course, the highlights on the back end. Boys, it's been a couple weeks now. We took a week off last week. We just had some conflicts. And also, we're getting close to episode 69. Got to manage the expectations. Got to manage the load. And we wanted episode 69 to be a week one reaction video. And, of course, Landon Dickerson is wearing number 69, so that's very exciting. But right now we've got episode 68. And, of course, the Phils are hot. They've won 2 in a row. But more importantly, Sam, we've got the Eagles season about to kick off this Sunday. How are you feeling? I mean, we've got nobody on the injury report right now as it is the start of the season.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long that lasts.
Somebody's going to get hurt on Friday. That's what's going to happen, dude. Come on.
I mean, you're not wrong. You never lie. You never lie on the Wolves of Broad Street podcast.
I never lie intentionally. Yeah, I never lie intentionally on this podcast. No, but I'm feeling nervous just because I know the Atlanta Falcons are bad. And the Eagles don't usually do too hot against bad teams, especially early on in the season. So I'm nervous, but above anything, I'm excited. I'm so excited to watch the Birds play again. And we have so many question marks that we've talked about, like previous episodes and stuff like that. So hopefully we get some answers week one. I mean, obviously we won't get all the answers we're looking for in week one, but I think Jalen Hurts has to show out, I think Devontae Smith, as long as he doesn't get hurt this week, I think he's going to be really good as well. So I couldn't be more excited.
Absolutely. Dude, I've seen so much BS going around just with, of course, Howie Roseman went out and acquired Gardner Minshew because Nick Mullins was horrible in preseason. Yeah. Did a disservice to the number 10 in an Eagles uniform. But so we brought in Gardner Minshew and the guys on Twitter, the WIP callers, of course, as well, are saying that Gardner Minshew is going to end up starting games for the Philadelphia Eagles this season. And this is just so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Of course, Jalen Hurts was named a captain. He was voted a captain, and he is our starting quarterback. He was voted a captain. That was released today, but we've known he's the starting quarterback for about a week officially. And we've known that for far longer unofficially. No one just said anything about it. So people talking about Gardner Minshew being anything but a backup QB option is just ridiculous. And, you hear Nick Sirianni talk about Jalen Hurts, about how he's such a competitor. And I can tell those two guys love each other. And I think Jalen Hurts has really started to get along with the wide receivers. Obviously, him and Smitty already had a great relationship. And coming from our boy, Victor Williams at the Philly Pod, week one is the biggest game of Jalen Hurts' career. Of course, because this is going to set the narrative. There are really no narratives going into this season. There are no expectations. So everything is riding on week one, just from how are we going to look at the season moving forward? Win and loss, the season itself doesn't ride on it, but how people are going to talk about the team, and that is honestly almost more important than the actual record, how people are talking about the team. And that's going to be decided week one. This Sunday,
I agree. Yeah, setting the tone this week, especially against a bad team like the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I think it's all important. It makes it even more important. There's a lot of pressure going on to this offense and the defense. I think a couple things. The biggest thing about this team, I think, just everybody needs to stay as healthy as possible. We can't have injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because they're not so deep at defensive back. So if the defensive backs start going down, I think the rest of the team goes down as well. I mean, it's going to be tough, because we're deep in some areas, but not so. And then where we're not deep, it's like really, really bad, like the defensive backs. So like it's. I don't even remember. I guess we should pull up the roster, like I think it came out like a week or so ago that I had to look at it. So we can pull that up in a little bit. But yeah, I'm so excited, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we got some people asking who is gonna show out for the Birds. I mean, obviously you need Jalen Hurts to show out. You need obviously Jordan Mailata starting left tackle. I was right. I was always right about that. Starting left tackle, Jordan Mailata. He's going to come out. He's got to protect the QB's blind side. That's a big deal. And then, of course, the receivers. Who out of these dynamic young wide receivers is going to pop for you? I feel like I know who you might say right away, but any of them really could pop out. So who do you think is going to pop out from that young receiving core?
I think this is Devontae Smith's show to steal. I really do. And obviously we've been talking about Quez Watkins a lot this year as well. I mean, it's a toss up between those guys. We never got a chance to totally see what Devontae Smith could do in preseason just because they didn't want him to have injured. And I fully support that move. Not showing him out in the preseason just so he could stay as healthy as possible because he had that thing with his leg. I don't remember what it was, but I think it's going to be really, really good to see Devontae Smith actually step on the football field and make some plays. Like, this is the first time we're going to actually see him game action, since he had that Heisman season with Alabama. And I think the connection between Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, I already think is phenomenal. I love everything about that. They played together already. And Quez Watkins had a phenomenal preseason. He was a guy that had to kind of prove himself this year in the preseason. And we'll see how it goes in an actual NFL game, but I have high hopes for him. I really do. Jalen Reagor, this is a huge year for him as well to prove that he's not a bust as a first round pick. And Greg Ward is coming back as the seasoned vet of this wide receiving core, which blows my mind. I really hope that he's in shape and good to go. I didn't see too much of him in the preseason. Maybe it's because he wasn't getting the targets or whatever. But yeah, and now we're down to the last guy on the receiving depth chart, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I mean, how the hell did he make the team? Like, I don't understand how he made this team, but whatever.
I don't even know. I do not even really know how he made the team. I suppose he did have a pretty solid preseason, and his camp must have been good because, I mean, obviously that bumped off fan favorite from last year and could have been made guy on the Wolves of Broad Street podcast, could have become a friend of the show, an official friend of the show if he continued to play it to the level he was. But now he's on the practice squad, along with Jordan Howard and some other familiar names. But it was a bit surprising to see J-Jaw stay on the roster in favor of Travis Fulgham. That didn't really make a lot of sense, but how does that make you feel? Because I'm not really worried about it. I mean, if we're gonna be, splitting hairs over our fifth wide receiver spot, that doesn't really kill me. That doesn't kill my vibe all that much.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't see the field, I don't really care. Because he's so bad. I really thought he was unplayable for the last 2 seasons that we've had him, and he was a second round pick. I thought they should have just done away with him, started anew, maybe drafted another wide receiver in a later round to see if maybe he would pan out, but it didn't happen. Howie had other plans. We have somebody saying in the chat that J-Jaw made the team just because Howie drafted him and he can't swallow his pride. I mean, as of right now, I don't have any beef with Howie Roseman. I thought he had actually a pretty good offseason, with some defensive acquisitions and things like that. Had a really good draft as well. Yeah, I just think, and then Victor Williams checking in again. He said, it will kill my vibe when we're playing our 4th stringers in week 8. You're probably right.
Yeah. That's definitely right. But I'm just saying as of right now, and also you just take a look at these receivers. Dude, Quez Watkins is going to come out. He's going to do something. And he's going to make me forget all about the fact that J-Jaw's even on the sideline, to be honest. I mean, once we get to, the now empty injury report starting to fill up, as it always does with an Eagles NFL season, knock on wood, then it will start to kill my vibe. But right now, headed into the season with my expectations as not low, but just as reasonable as they could possibly be. But
Yeah, I'm really trying to contain my excitement because we all know what happened last episode when we did our scheduling predictions and we did it kind of like blindly. So like we didn't have a set record at the beginning, so the way we did it was we went through each game and broke it down and said, hey, this is a win, this is a win, this is a loss, and we kept track, and then we ended up having them at like 11-6 and 10-7 respectfully, which I was appalled by because I tried to keep my expectations as neutral as possible, but clearly that didn't happen. I mean, we're talking about Eagles football. Like, how can you not be excited about like a pretty much a brand new roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball? I mean, we have some seasoned guys on the defensive side of the ball, especially at defensive line, which I think, and they're so deep at defensive line too. So there's a lot to be excited about, but also with a lot of question marks. So it's tough. It's tough to remain unbiased, man. We're in a tough business here, man.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I mean, of course, I just got to digress quickly. Jake Elliott is still here, and that does still pain me. But I do kind of want to circle back to what you were saying about Howie Roseman. And we gave him a lot of shit at the end of the season and most of the season, rightfully so. But he did have a very strong recovery. And then he also is kind of focused. He's not blowing it up and rebuilding, but he is focusing on the youth. I mean, every guy made the team that we drafted this year, except one guy at LSU, the safety, Jacoby Stevens. He's on the practice squad, but everyone else is on the roster. So even though, they may not have been as good as some other guys that had been on the team or been on the roster for training camp, Howie is definitely making that move towards the youth. You see it, head coach, you see it. I mean, well, clearly also Luke did not listen to the last edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast because I had the Eagles at 10 wins and Sam had them at 11. We don't think it's that crazy. We went game by game last week. We went game by game last week or 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago. We did have that brief break, but we went game by game and came out of it with I had 10-7, Sam had 11-6. Sam, it didn't seem that crazy game by game, but when you say it out loud, it kind of feels nuts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we were so shocked. I mean, you guys can check it out. We have some highlights. Seamus G, I think he made a little clip of us like reacting to us doing the math of our win-loss record at the end of it, because math is like pretty hard for us. So we weren't sure like if we had it right or not. And then we were just like, I cannot believe we just did that. We tried to be as like neutral as possible, and we had them as like a winning record. And the records that we came up with definitely win this division. I mean, I got guys coming up to me at school. I'm back at school now. You can see like all the background stuff for those of you who are alive right now. Back at school in the same room as last year, which is kind of hilarious, in the same house. But it's it's tough. It's tough to remain unbiased. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I mean, and that's also coming from you, the guy that wants our local commentators to be as biased as possible.
Yeah.
So you do love the bias, and I can't help but be biased as much as I like to see myself as an objective person. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a Philly. It's fucking Philly sports podcast. Like, screw everybody else. They're like, oh, that's an unrealistic take. Screw you. I don't care. Who are you?
It's my team. We're talking about my team. Like we're doing a show based around teams that we live and die for.
This is a show.
It's a show.
It's a fucking show. This is in the halls of Parliament. This is a fucking podcast. It's 9:00 on a Monday night. You got 7 people in here. This is quite the evening. Did I see? Oh, this is an important question. Seamus G, you can throw that up. Thank you. So I will be writing something about this. This is really one of the worst things that I've personally ever seen. It was a cheesesteak in Milwaukee that was literally just like a piece of steak in a long roll, maybe like a Wawa shorty. With it looked like red peppers were in there. Like it just didn't look good at all. And it was one of the more abominable things I'd ever seen. So it felt very good when the Phillies went on to absolutely crush the Brewers 12-0. And I don't know what was happening with the cheese, Luke. I too would like to know what was happening with the cheese. You're in Wisconsin, for God's sake. You can't find good cheese. I thought that was it's like 75% of your economy. You can't find good cheese in Wisconsin.
Well, they have to at least get the cheese right. I mean, the steak thing is like maybe a little. I mean, it's atrocious, but maybe a little understandable from a West Coast or whatever Northwest standpoint, because they don't have the quality meat products that we have here on the East Coast, But the cheese, like that's their market. It's the cheese. At least get the cheese right. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it, but like that's absolutely absurd.
I need the cheese.
Need the cheese. Gotta have some good cheese. I
Dude,
mean, maybe throw like a little spin. Like and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I don't hate like putting a little like cultural spin on it. Maybe there's like a Northwest like figure it out, make it your own. Like a cheesesteak is never gonna be like a Philly cheesesteak if it's not from Philly. But like if you put a cool spin on it, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, man.
I'm just taking a look. We are going to go into the doghouse in just a little bit, but I do just want to talk to you about. I'm just looking at this Falcons roster here. I mean, they have Calvin Ridley as their top wide receiver, and then they have what's his face, Kyle Pitts, listed as their second tight end.
Really,
and really not much else to write home about. The only other names I recognize, of course, Matt Ryan and Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
And I guess Mike Davis is there, but like that could be one of like 9 guys in the league. So I'm not 100% sure if I even know who that is. And obviously I know more guys on the Eagles roster than I do the Atlanta Falcons, but I just looking at it, Seamus G said maybe we were a little cocky saying it's a no doubt win week 1 for the Birds, but are you confident in a win here?
I want to be. Yeah, you know what? I'm done. I'm confident in a win on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I can't see anybody on this roster that I'm looking at right now that could be possibly pose a threat to the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt Ryan is a seasoned quarterback, but he's definitely on a downhill trend right now. I mean, he's getting old. Penn Charter product. He's getting super old.
Yeah, dude.
So not really anybody to throw to other than Pitts and Ridley. So the Eagles should beat this team. I mean, yeah, this is I actually am pretty happy with this scoreline that Luke has here. 30-12 Birds victory week 1.
You like 30-12?
I'm in.
You're gonna take that. I was gonna ask you your prediction. Are you gonna hop on that train with Luke there?
You know what? I'm not gonna go with 30. I'm gonna go with 21.
21-12.
21-12. Yeah, is what.
That's a fun little score line. I was gonna go. Probably like 27-17.
Okay.
Birds, of course.
I like the 12. I like the 12 because I think our defense is going to be. I think our defense is going to take care of their offense. Maybe let up one touchdown and like a field goal here and there. But
yeah,
I like that. I just didn't. I don't totally love the 30. I don't know if our offense is capable of putting up 30 points.
We'll have to see. That's
early.
the big question.
I think they can score. I think that's the reason I'm going with 21 is I think they can score 3 touchdowns and hopefully Jake Elliott will make each extra point. So I no guarantees on that, obviously, and hopefully they won't need the field goal unit too much. So
yeah,
I like 21. I like 21-12. I like 21-12.
Yeah, we'll ride with that. Sam, do you have any other points you want to make about the Birds? Any predictions for Sunday? Any questions you might have for me or anybody out there?
I just have one more thing, real quick. Ready?
Yeah.
This is a big thing. Ready? Go Birds.
Go Birds.
That's it.
Go Birds. And that's going to bring us right into the doghouse, brought to you by Wide Plank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideplankfloorsupply.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. Wide Plank Floor Supply. If it's wide, they've got it. Visit their showroom warehouse out in King of Prussia. Go check it out. They got some beautiful wide planks, all different ranges of prices, colors, and they can hook you up with the guy to get the job done for the price that you deserve as a tax-paying American. Nice. And with that said, this was the doghouse. Sam, who do you got in the doghouse this week, buddy?
Well, Ryan, as you know, you guys make fun of me for this, but it's story time. So this weekend, I'm back at college. I'm back in Dickinson College, back in beautiful Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And the first week you're getting to know lots of different people. We have a house here, so we threw a couple of pretty massive parties outside in our front lawn and outside in our backyard, which is pretty cool. And then but I come in and for some reason I can't figure out how to lock my door. So like when I lock my door, it's like a push button thing. So when I lock it from the inside and then I close it, it just doesn't lock. Just really doesn't lock for some reason. So I'm outside. I'm having a good time trying to keep it contained because, I'm the host and I have like lots of people here that I'm responsible for, and if my ass is in the jackpot if something happens. So I'm like, lots of different moving pieces here, Ryan,
right.
Gotta be a good host, can't be too much of an asshole, but you have to lay down the law here and there. So I come back in and my door is slightly ajar. And
no.
I look in and see like there's some beer cans wherever in my room. Like that's not a huge deal. But I was like, all right, somebody's definitely been in here. And I look at my trash can and there's vomit everywhere.
No.
In and around the trash can.
And around?
Yeah. And so I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And then somebody came around and they were like, yeah, like some chick like just went into your room and like threw up in your trash can. I was like, well, she didn't do a very good job.
No, she actually did. She did go into my room and throw up, but she did not throw up in the trash can. No. So that would not be the right descriptor of the situation.
No. So whoever it was is in the doghouse this week.
Whoever this.
Because that's brutal. I don't totally mind somebody like because I'd rather have it in my trash can than like on my floor in the living room or something.
Yeah. But it's they didn't do that.
In and around, it was like in and around my trash can.
It's like at that point, just throw up outside the door. Like, why'd you have to go into my room if you weren't even gonna?
So I just took it where I was like, all right, next morning. It was a next morning kind of problem. Where
absolutely
deep clean of my carpet.
Hit it with a couple spritzes of Febreze and just
and then just took the entire trash can and threw it because I also didn't have a bag in it. I didn't have any trash bags. So
of course, who puts a trash bag in a small dorm room trash can?
I usually try to, but I didn't have one. So
I
just took the whole trash can, threw it in the dumpster.
Been there.
That's it.
Been there a few times.
That's my story. That's the doghouse for me. Ryan,
good.
Yeah, who do you got, buddy?
More than worthy. I'm throwing 94 WIP in the doghouse. I mean, they just continue to increase the pain and suffering of Philadelphians everywhere. They hired that chick from Barstool, Trista Crick, who essentially trolled herself into a job at WIP. She pissed off this entire city and gaslit us into essentially getting her a payday. And that is, and of course, the one and only Drew Smith dropped an article about it on thelibertyline.com saying they're a perfect match. And I 100% agree. It's like it's like the bastion of dog shit radio and her together. That's like adding Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Just like look, 94 WIP starting 5. Cataldi. I'm still counting Spike. Who else? Giglio. Her. And
the camera,
ESP.
maybe? Did you say
an
ESP?
ESP.
Well, what about Joe DeCamera? I'm not a huge fan of that guy.
I don't. Here's the thing. I can't listen to that fucking station anyway. I can't.
They've got some boomers in there for sure. I get that they are trying to bring in some younger talent. Like the effort, I guess, is there to try and bring in some younger minds. But
don't defend it. Don't even try to defend it. They literally brought in someone who it's a bullshit station now. It's literally built on nothing of any actual value. It exists solely to receive engagement and make money, not to inform. Not even to really entertain anymore. Yeah. Just to get eyes and ears and clicks. That's what it is. And I understand that that's your station. I understand. And this isn't me as a 97.5 guy because I don't really listen to 97.5 that much anymore either. So, but
I do 94. Listen. I like WIP. I like some of the like Jack Fritz, obviously friend of the show. I like.
Dude. Fritz is great. There are good people there.
Yeah,
it's just
there are.
Of course, but like there were good people. Not going to finish that sentence, but
would love to know where that was going.
I don't even know where it could have gone. It just couldn't have been good. But I
thought you were about to give us like a little life lesson there. He's like, there are good people. ...
No, there's not. There are really no good people, but that's not.
Oh gosh, Ryan.
No, 94 WIP get in the doghouse. You upset me. You upset me greatly. I don't even listen. I don't click. I just see it and I hear it secondhand, and it bothers me. Bothers me. So It's going to do it for the Doghouse, brought to you by Wide Plank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideplankfloorsupply.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. Wide Plank Floor Supply. If it's wide, they've got it, Sam. They've got the warehouse showroom, King of Prussia. It's just floor to ceiling planks.
Yeah.
Floor to ceiling planks.
Just where that warehouse is jam-packed, brother.
It is loaded. It's loaded with planks. And that said, Sam, I mean, we're talking about hardwood. We might as well talk Phillies because they use bats, and also because they've been lighting it up in Milwaukee today. Admittedly so. Like everybody from Wheeler to the bats, everybody was popping off after a frustrating, series of the Marlins. I don't know how to feel about this team anymore, man. It's just like it's crazy.
I've cracked the code, Ryan. If you would like me to elaborate on that, they're a 500 team. That's what they are. That's what they have been all year. They go on a big, like earlier in the year, right? They had a big, 8-game win streak going into that Mets series where they swept them, and then they go and lose 5. And then win another 1, and then lose 2 more. So that's what they are. They're just a 500 team. They went on a 6-game win streak not too long ago, I think last week or something like that, and then lose a series against the Marlins. Right? They did lose the series against the Marlins, right? I'm not making that up.
Yes, yeah, they lost 2 of 3,
and then so they lost 2 of 3 to the Marlins, and then they come back today, and what do? They blow out the Brewers. They're a 500 team, right? That's all they are. It sucks, but that's what they are. So I'm not getting my expectations anywhere above that 500 level. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Not taking my expectations above 500. I'm with you, man. I mean, we're sitting a game and a half back from the Braves right now. We're 71-66. And like you said just now, I said it a couple weeks ago, they've made it that few games over 500 where they're going to start to go, hold on a second. This is we've got a little too much vertical space between us and that line and dead center mediocrity. So they got to bring it back down a little bit.
Yep.
And I mean, dude, and honestly, where the mediocrity comes from, if I had to take it all the sources and put it in mediocrity right now, dude, I'm pointing fingers directly at Joe Girardi. I mean, he gives me the most mediocre vibe. It's hard to say he looks like he doesn't want to be there. You take a look at Tony La Russa, who's as old as dirt. He doesn't look like he wants to be anywhere. But that's a different thing. Girardi, on the other hand, looks like he has active contempt for the Philadelphia Phillies and the game of baseball in general.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, that Tony La Russa comment that was almost made me choke on my body armor. That was pretty good. Hopefully, Seamus G can do something funny with the highlights there. That was pretty good. But yeah, I agree. I think Joe Girardi has been a mediocre manager all year long. Seriously, he's just been. He's made some really great moves, made some really bad moves, and then some in between. He's a 500 manager, Ryan, managing a 500 team. That's what he is.
500. Honestly, dude, if this was a 500 baseball city, that'd be great. We're way below 500 historically. So it's not even that. It's just, I guess that's who the Phillies are.
Dude. Losingest franchise ever in sports. All of them.
What it is.
All of the sports.
I'm sitting here after a 12-run blowout with multiple home runs. Brad Miller had 3 hits, 2 of which were solo home runs. Kutch came up, had 3 strikeouts in a row, was going for that golden sombrero with the number 4 first pitch dinger. So even after what was a great game to watch, I'm still this team is crap. This team is just there's nothing. Even if we get to the NLDS, what the fuck, right? We need Reese. We need first base isn't even that hard of a defensive position, at least relative to the other ones. I'm not saying I could play it, but I would think he'd be better than Brad Miller. Brad Miller made a couple pretty spooky errors since Reese has gone down for the year. He's made a couple boots at first base where I'm just bro, that's what you're there for. And I understand he wasn't, he didn't come here to be the starter or anything, but I just don't see this team. Hell, we could win this division. The Braves suck. We suck. The Mets fucking stink.
Yeah,
they are the worst.
They can't even figure it out figure it out from an organizational standpoint. One of their GM just get a DUI, like, and now they've got the president. It's like it's a moving chain, like down. Like they're on like their fourth string GM right now.
It's crazy, dude. Like Javi Baez, who's been there. I love Lindor and Baez, who've been there probably the shortest out of anybody on that Mets roster, complaining about the fans like they have any fucking right. Like that's like Danny Green. It's like Danny Green. It's like why I was pissed at. But if people are like, oh, but Danny said the same thing as Joel, I'm like, yeah, because Joel has the right to say it. He's been here long enough. If Pete Alonso said that, maybe Mets fans would have listened. You know, if Michael Conforto said that, maybe Mets fans would have listened. But no, Javi Baez, and then there's their owner tweeting at them, basically saying like, this team should be hitting better. Just like,
why is the owner on Twitter? I mean, like, we are not fans of John Middleton by any means, but like, at least he's not going on Twitter and being like, oh, this team can't hit. I don't know what you want me guys to do. Like, don't take it to Twitter. Are you kidding me?
They're like, this team should be hitting better. That's crazy.
What?
That's crazy. So we don't need to worry about them. It's a 2-horse race for the division right now, as far as I'm concerned, and both of those horses are stupid horses. I don't even know. They're not good horses. They're donkeys.
How does that phrase go? You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink it. Is that applicable here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember last year, Joe Buck.
Horses.
Yeah, they're both stupid horses. Joe Buck said something last year about the NFC East. He said, by law, someone is required to win the NFC East. And that's pretty much the same thing with the NL East right now. And that's what some people are expecting for the NFC East this year as well. But right now, we're in a pennant race. It doesn't feel like we're in a pennant race at all. I don't feel any intensity from this team, even after a 12-run win.
I know, and it's September.
It's September.
It's literally September. This is
it
supposed
felt like
to be
May.
Like we're gearing up for October to go play some playoff baseball. It's September, and we're talking about this team like they're a 500 team, and they still have a chance to win this division. What the fuck is going on?
I don't even know. It's ridiculous.
It's September.
No heart, no hustle. Yeah. That's what we need Reese for. As weird as that guy is.
He is a weirdo, man.
He's a little weirdo. I love him, though. Yeah, I love him to death. We need him. I mean, if you guys saw our Day at the Ballpark feature that Seamus G threw together, you can check that on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at Wolves of Broad ST. You can find it there somewhere if you look hard enough. Should be right there, honestly. But but we found out that Reese was going to be out for the season in the middle of the parking lot during our tailgate. We were just like, well, it's chalked. And it's more or less been pretty chalked.
Yeah. Said me in the Reese Hoskins jersey that I was sporting.
Woof.
That was the thing. And we found out Matt Moore was starting that day too. We were like,
dude, hey, Matt Moore struck out the side today. Dude, everything happened today. Everything was great. Gene Segura had his first grand slam. It was like, oh, this is such a nice day.
Did he ask for the ball?
Yeah. Dude, before it left the ballpark.
Oh my gosh. That's so
when did he ask? Wait, what do you mean?
Do you remember when he did that for like his 200th double or something like that? He was going like around the bases, going like,
yeah,
200 double. Yeah. Give me that ball. Give me that ball.
He did it before it even left the stadium. He was asking for the ball.
Oh my God. That's so bad. Yeah. Gene Segura is having a pretty good year, but I can't believe we've been talking about the Phillies this long and have not talked about Bryce Harper yet. What
we were always going to get there. We had to get the negatives out of the way.
Bryce Harper. Who else? I don't see anybody else winning an NL MVP. I really don't.
Bryce Harper.
It should be Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper inside the park home run.
That was cool shit. Yeah, dude, it's so great.
I still love that clip. So good. He's been on such a tear, and I haven't been as good. When I was over the summer, I watched like pretty much every game on TV. When I went to 2 games, but as soon as I got to school, it was a little tough for me to keep up. But everything I've seen, like in terms of the highlights and stuff the Liberty Line's posting, stuff that MLB is starting to chime in on, like posting about Bryce Harper, one of their poster boys. He should be the MVP. He really should be. Let me pull up the stats right here real quick. But yeah, talk to me about Bryce Harper, Ryan.
Dude, Bryce Harper has been a dominant force. I mean, he had a little bit of a slow weekend. Said after the series against the Marlins that he was going to try and improve that, or not try. He said he was going to play better. Came out today and hit a top of the first inning on the road single dinger or solo dinger. And it was, he did exactly what he said it was going to do. I mean, and if anybody's got the energy right now, I feel like he's really the only guy. I mean, today when he had a couple questionable pitches that, I thought were strikes, but he thought they were balls. And he was giving it to the ump like pretty severely. And I know Bryce can do that, but like he's really the only guy that's got any fire in him right now, and it shows. I mean, him shredding it on the base paths. It's just incredible to watch him in all phases of the game right now.
Yeah, it's honestly great. I have his stats pulled up here, but before I get to those stats, if Tatis does win it over Harper, I will also lose my mind, Luke, just because Tatis had a pretty long injury stint there, and he came back. I mean, he did come back, like, all credit to Tatis. He did come back firing on all cylinders. Like, he's still having a fantastic year. Didn't lose a step after that injury at all, at all. So he's a phenomenal player. Great for the game. Love Fernando Tatis. But Bryce Harper has been doing it consistently all year long. So with that, the Bryce Harper stats. You ready for this, Ryan? I'm a big stats guy now. Did you know that?
Oh, are you now? Is it because it fits our narrative?
Yes.
So
he's hitting 301, something I never would have expected out of Bryce Harper, just because he's a home run hitter, gap to gap guy. You don't see a lot of gap to gap home run hitters have an average above 300, right? So that's pretty cool. So he's hitting 301. He's got 28 dingers, only 108 strikeouts, 74 walks, which is absurd. Like, that's a lot of walks thus far in this season. And then 66 RBI is not terribly high for a guy like Bryce Harper, but again, that stat that I always bring up. At one point, he was tied for 83rd in runners in scoring position with plate appearances, things like that. So 82 runs scored in 409 ABs, 116 games played. He's played 116 games this year, which is pretty good out of a guy like Bryce Harper. So
yeah.
Stats, baby. Stats don't lie.
I love them, dude. And another thing that's going to kill me if Tatis does win this NL MVP after that long injury stint is that the injury argument was recently used in another league for their MVP race. And I was an interested party in one of those MVP races. That was, of course, the NBA, Joel Embiid losing out the MVP to Nikola Jokic because he played every game. Even though Joel Embiid was the single most dominant force in all of basketball, just like right now, at least in the National League, because they split it up that way, Bryce Harper is the single most dominant force in the National League right now. And he has been since the All-Star break and really all year. I mean, he had the slowdown when that guy, Genesis Cabrera, hit him in the face and then hit Didi in the face, who I want to get to in a second. But now since he came back, he had like a little weird wrist thing. He's just been a beast. He had 2 weeks this year where he was like, sorry, I got hit in the face with a baseball. And then I tweaked my wrist a little, but I'm good now. And I'm going to hit 300. I remember when you and I would talk about Bryce Harper, like, what do you want out of him for this particular season? He would say like, X amount of dingers, but like 260 average, right? 260, 270 would be good, right? Not 300. And I mean, he hasn't hit that volume of home runs that some of the mashers are hitting right now. But that's fine considering the average that he's hitting for and his on-base percentage and all of that. It completely negates any of that. Oh, he's not hitting enough home runs. Like, no, that's not true. He's hitting plenty if he's hitting for this level of average right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pulling up his on-base percentage right now. OBP 413.
Does he still have the best OPS in baseball?
OPS, I don't know. He's got a 998 OPS, which is off the charts. That's through the roof.
That's crazy. Yeah. And that was after a not great weekend because he was up at like 1.05 something, I feel like, or something like that. Right. Yeah. Which is like, dude, I don't even know. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So he is on an absolute tear. I love it. And that's what we're paying him. We're paying him this big money, right? And the only time that he wasn't like doing like the big money thing was after he took 100 miles to the fucking dome.
Exactly.
Like 100 miles an hour to the dome, to the melon. Like, what do you expect? Like, I'd be scared to step into the box again. I mean, especially if guys are going to try and keep coming inside on you, which is exactly what pitchers did after he got hit in the face, because you knew he's going to be backing off the plate a little bit. So they come inside and he's like, "Oh crap, I can't really do anything with this because I'm like a little bit scared." Understandable. He's a human being.
Yeah, exactly. And here he is he's ripping the cover off the baseball. And really the only player on this team that Bob.
You look like one of the three guys from Three Blind Mice. That's actually pretty funny out of Bob. That's pretty good. I like that.
That's ableist. Not very progressive of you, Bob. But what I was saying, Sam, so we've talked about Bryce Harper and how great he is. I want to talk to you about the shortstop position right now.
Yeah.
And why Didi Gregorius needs to stop playing it and why Nick Maton does.
I agree with you. I do.
Even when Didi tries to go oppo to beat the shift, he is right at the third baseman. Like the dude can't get the ball out of the fucking infield. Like it's crazy.
Really bad this year. He's been really bad this year, and it's tough to see. I mean, he also struggled with some injuries early on, and with his condition, I think injuries linger on a lot longer. I forget what I don't totally know what his condition is, but it's a condition in which his injuries last a little bit longer for some reason. And that was the whole. I think remember back in 2020, he was wearing masks the whole time because of the COVID stuff. He was vulnerable, so. I don't know if that has to do with his play this year, but he's been pretty bad. And he's like a defensive guy, right? He's a pretty good defensive shortstop. Has not been this year in the slightest. I mean, so I am a proponent for Nick Maton to start getting some major league reps and getting some time at shortstop for sure. Cause I think he's going to be really, really good in the future. And so the quicker that we can get him up here and get him some MLB reps, in the show, I think it'll be good for him, and then in turn will be good for the Phillies as well.
Mm-hmm. I just want the young, hungry guys up here trying to win the division. You've said it, exactly. Drew said it, and I can't help but agree. That's what we need. We need that fire. We need that energy. We don't have any of it, and it's hard. I mean, I'm not going to blame Didi for not being stoked because he's really stunk it up recently. It's hard to be that exciting when you're struggling, and then you take a look at JT, who another guy who is just
struggling offensively.
Yeah, I rolled into a double play today after Harper struck out with bases loaded.
Not what you want. Yeah.
I mean, granted, Harper struck out because of literally perfect pitching. Perfect. But then JT steps up, and then I'm like, oh, so the inning's over. Good to know. Just I knew it was going to happen.
It does. It has gotten to that point this year with JT in terms of offense. Defense, I mean, it's hard to talk about JT Realmuto's defense just because he's so good. We could talk about JT's defense all day long about how good he is, so we just kind of stopped talking about it. It's kind of like the same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs situation. They've just been so good now for so long that nobody really even talks about it. Same thing with Mike Trout. That's how good JT's defense is. He's just a phenomenal defensive catcher, still the best catcher in baseball from a defensive standpoint. But offensively this year, he has not been good, which is a huge part of his game and a huge part of why we brought him on to the Phillies.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good offensive catcher and a sick athlete. So it's tough to see a guy like JT who has such offensive prowess, kind of tank it a little bit here.
Yeah. That's the whole reason we're like, oh, cool. And then when he's done playing catcher, when his knees are shot, he can go play first base. Right?
Yeah.
Because then he can hit, but now if he's not going to hit, it's why the fuck did we sign him?
Mm-hmm.
And then I turn on Bryce Harper because it was Bryce Harper's idea. No, I'm kidding.
Yep, I got it. Well, I don't know. I don't really have too much left on the Phillies. We can talk briefly about the Sixers, where I want to die a little bit inside because we're gonna have to talk about Ben Simmons. But
okay. We'll do it.
Yeah, dude. I know.
We'll do a minute. Seamus G can clip it, throw it on the internet without any context, then it'll blow up. So we can talk about the Sixers. Dude, Ben Simmons is such a weasel. Such a weasel.
What a rat. Guy sucks.
Dude, literally the whole
3 years.
thing. Dude, I know you have. And here he is exercising that.
Terrible.
It's heinous, man. I mean, we got Rich Paul coming in here, making trouble, trying to get Ben Simmons out of here at any cost. There was a report today from NBA Central, maybe yesterday or today or a day ago, saying that Ben Simmons is willing to take all financial penalties the Sixers throw at him for skipping training camp until we trade him. And he's just tanking the leverage to try and go somewhere he wants to go or just to get out of here. And it's just there's so many issues with that. I mean, you see Chris Broussard on Fox Sports. You see Kendrick Perkins on Fox Sports. You hear Brian Windhorst, who is just LeBron's puppet in the media. He got famous for covering LeBron, talking about this Ben Simmons situation because he has that knowledge from Clutch Sports and Rich Paul. It's just, and you hear them craft the narrative in the national media. Ben Simmons hasn't been developed. Philly threw Ben Simmons under the bus. But because there are so many people in the world that are not Sixers fans, that have not been monitoring the situation with as much, as much critical an eye as we have been. So they don't know all this stuff. So then everyone's like, oh, Philly fans are assholes. They ran another guy out of town. Look, Chris Broussard on a national network said that. Nick Wright said that on Fox Sports 1. Oh, look at that. Brian Windhorst. That's ESPN. That's a brand. That's the media. And it's literally lies. It's crap. It's propaganda from the mouth of LeBron James to the pen of Rich Paul to the airwaves of ESPN and Fox Sports 1. And it's an absolute joke. Sports reporting in general is something that can be done in a proper way. And these people refuse to do it because they've got money involved. They've got LeBron James pulling the strings, him and Rich Paul fucking in the back room, popping champagne and caviar, laughing while my world falls down around me. Fuckers. James G, close it down. No.
I could not have done that better myself, right?
Thank you.
You just said everything that I wanted to say. Like, Ben Simmons sucks. Get him out of here. And of course he wants to go to LA. Like, of course he does. He hasn't lived even when he was playing in Philly, he wasn't living in Philly. His house is in LA. We've been saying, I remember a while back, like at the start of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast, I think it was Seamus that said, Ben Simmons is going to end up playing in LA at some point. We were like, no, like he likes it here. Like he's going to turn it around. And that was before my hate for Ben Simmons started happening. But Seamus G, I'm pretty sure called it, saying he's going to end up somewhere in LA because he's just a Los Angeles kind of prick.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I think right after that happened, he signed that extension. So we said that, or Seamus said that, and we were like, shit, maybe, I don't know. And then he signed the extension. So I thought all worry was, I thought all worry could be, thrown by the wayside. But no, he's got 4 years left on his deal, and he's trying to force his way out of 5 years. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
What do we say, Ryan? Palms up, pussy.
Is a palms up pussy. That's 100%, dude. Ben Simmons. I hate Ben Simmons now. Mm-hmm. I was such an ardent Ben Simmons supporter, apologist, denier, like just anything you could use to describe me with Ben Simmons, odds are it's true. And now it's just like I want him gone. I want him out of my mind. But I also don't want him to go somewhere else in the league because I know he's good. He's good at basketball at certain things. So he'll go somewhere and he'll play basketball well and be an all-star.
But I don't know, man. He's got to go to a very specific. That's the problem with Ben Simmons. He has to go somewhere very, very specific that will make him successful, right? So I love these new banners. We got Seamus G actually behind the glass pulling the.
He's been there the whole time.
Using the show, yeah, he's been here
there the whole time.
He's been doing a great job. But well, now I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, Ben Simmons. Yeah, he's got to be at a very, very specific kind of team where he can actually be successful. And there's not a whole lot of teams out there that I think can give it to him. Like the Warriors are one of them, I think, with a bunch of 3-point shooters, right? That he can just drive and kick, right? But anybody can do that. Like, so I don't know. He sucks at free throws, so nobody's gonna want him for that. I mean, he can't shoot damn basketball. So what
it's crazy. It's crazy that like people want him, but not for the price. But he's gonna be good. But he also sucks, and he has no value. But he's good. It's just there's so much. He's just such a weird player in the NBA. It's almost like like Russell Westbrook at one point. Everyone's like, he's clearly great. Like he won an MVP 2 years ago, but I'm not giving up shit for him. Like that. If people feel that way, to a lesser, more or whatever degree, a slightly different degree about Ben Simmons. They're like, yeah, 3-time All-Star, second place in Defensive Player of the Year voting. I want him, but I'm not going to fucking give you what you want. I'm going to need Maxey. Rich Paul told me we need to take Maxey.
I don't want to give up Maxey.
We're not giving up Maxey.
It might have to happen, but it's like
no, yeah. I mean, there was that whole thing that I wrote about for the LibertyLine.com, of course. Here, of course, we're also on the Liberty Line Podcast Network. Yeah. Brilliant. Rich Paul told Tyrese Maxey to cut all ties, or not cut all ties, but cancel any charitable, partnerships that he was starting for this upcoming season with Philadelphia Charities because he might move. And I'm just like, dude, one of the most hard hit cities by the pandemic. I mean, when I say the city of Philadelphia itself has been ravaged by the pandemic. Gun violence is up astronomically. Shit has really hit the fan in Philly over the last 2 years because of this COVID thing. And Rich Paul goes, no, I need leverage. I'm getting this kid out of here. Fuck whatever feelings he has about the city or what good he could do for this community that really, really needs it right now.
Yeah. What a scumbag.
And it's just no. It's just I get so angry. Angry. It's just this guy that's just like, oh, it's like LeBron's boy. Mm-hmm. It's just LeBron's buddy from home is the most.
Yep.
And right there, Seamus G's doghouse, Rich Paul.
Yep.
That was probably
say next. Yeah.
The reason I didn't bring that up, or the reason I didn't put him in the doghouse. I thought I might have done that 2 weeks ago, but I didn't, because that's what I would have done last week if we did do a show, but we weren't able to do it. So thank you for catching that, Seamus G, and adding that in there, because that is he's got to go in the doghouse. I think he might be in there for an extended stay, at least until the end of this Ben Simmons situation. I does that sound reasonable?
Is he up there with the likes of Matt Klentak in terms of the rankings and doghouse?
He's approaching. He's approaching. I mean, Matt Klentak, he's an owner. He's a property owner. Like, he has property in his name in the doghouse. It's like a condominium of sorts. Yeah. It's on his driver's license. It's like his permanent residence. This is like sort of like an extended stay, maybe a timeshare for Rich Paul. It's like a summer rental of the doghouse. What a rat.
Sixers. I hate the Sixers. I hate the NBA.
Me too.
I don't like basketball.
Honestly want to stop talking about it now. I kind of want to be done. Are you done? I'm kind of done.
I'm so done.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
Sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. After a week hiatus, we had some stuff going on. I was moving into school starting up. Ryan also starting school at Temple. Go Owls, which is pretty cool. And big shouts to Seamus G, who's actually behind the glass right now, pulling the strings, which is pretty cool.
It's been some really
cool things with like the title stuff, the banners, the moving stuff, the moving parts, and he's been crushing on the highlights as well. So go follow us on at Liberty Line PHL, the libertyline.com. Go check out all the blogs, and our stuff is it's on the banner right now, which is awesome. At Wolves of Broad ST for Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram and YouTube. The Wolves of Broad Street. Seamus G closes down. Oh, buy a shirt. Buy a shirt.
Yeah,
buy lots of shirts. Seamus G, close us down, buddy.